I've never seen anything like it before, and to attempt to hit the ball out of there is pure madness.
The winner of the gold medal and the champion golfer of the year is Cameron Smith.
This is the one that I've always wanted to win since I was a little kid. So it just feels pretty amazing to be able to get it done today.
It's amazing that it's my destiny to be the first Aussie to win. Just incredible.
Hello and welcome to episode 98 of Playing from the Tips, Golf Australia magazine's preview and tipping podcast covering the depths of tournament golf from around the world, including some areas better left unexplored. Jimmy Emanuel here in the digital host chair as I beam into the studio from Germany and freezing temperatures to help cover the PGA Tour, LIV Golf, Challenger PGA Tour of Australasia, DP World Tour and LPGA Tour action. And joining me on that global journey is a man who considers anything crossing the Harbour Bridge as an overseas journey, Mr. Rod Murray. Rod, welcome.
Thank you very much, Jimmy, and you're quite right. I'm not a big traveller, as you want. What's the golf connection with Germany? You don't think of that as a golf hub. What are you doing there?
Well, I'm sitting currently in what Adidas call home ground, their campus. So come to have a look at a few things golf from Adidas in the future.
Nice.
Yeah, it is very nice. And Adidas put on a wonderful spread, so thank you to Adidas. Our other so-called expert is far more well-travelled, but far well less known for his thoughts on one of the worldwide events we'll cover this week. Adrian Logue, are you going to address the elephant named Rob Murray in the room this week?
Yeah, one of Rod's favourite events this week. He'll probably repeat something that he doesn't realise he's said before or verbatim write an article that covers this certain tournament that we're going to talk about this week. But people want to hear from you. You got to play the hits, Rod.
This is the time where we reflect on the week that was. But before we get into professional golf, Logue, do you want to reflect on partnering Ewan Porter as he completed his journey to play every golf course in Sydney last week and contributing nothing but a creepy wink towards me as your input for the day?
Oh, I won a couple of holes. Maybe not solo, but I holed out first. I definitely won a couple of holes where I holed out first. And,
now, hang on. Did the other people know you were in a match, or was it one of those matches where only you're playing?
No, it was a genuine match.
Okay.
But all of his good work was undone. When he hit a good chip, a rarity for Logue, and then he went and got his ball thrown to him and turned to me and just winked at me. It just broke down everything.
I creeped myself out with that, actually. That was super creepy.
Well, when you've got the yips, you don't know what to do when one comes out right, do you?
In all fairness, that's right.
It was like an involuntary reaction, like a gag when you smell something. It was
wonderful.
No, it was wrong. But it didn't take anything away, though, from Ewan's achievement of playing every single golf course in Sydney.
That's a serious achievement. That's legitimate.
Every single golf course.
That's remarkable.
Yeah. It's really remarkable.
There's some not great golf
very
in that
bad golf courses in Sydney.
Right. And we finished one of the more interesting ones. Yeah.
Well done, Ewan.
Last week's actual golf that people care about rather than us playing with old golf clubs. Highlights, I think Rory winning at Pebble Beach has to be right up there.
Yeah, Bryson too. Bryson did what Bryson was supposed to do in India. He did everything. He brought in the crowds. He put on a run late. He played some spectacular golf shots. He was good with the kids. Cannot fault what he did. And the crowds were amazing. I don't know how much of it you saw. The crowds were amazing that were following him. It was quite extraordinary. So, great example there set by Bryson. Well done to him.
Tremendous.
Yeah, the crowds were amazing, and everyone trying to get a photo and a video, and it's a lot of people who wouldn't have ever seen maybe even a golf shot in person, let alone professional golf. So doing exactly what it's supposed to.
Put on a show.
Yeah, exactly. But what's interesting, I don't think Rory would get that response in India. I don't think Jordan Spieth would. Justin Thomas. Pick your best-known player. None of them are going to get the response that Bryson got, I don't think. He's got it, whatever it is, and he's cultivating it really nicely.
Yeah. Well, it is his interaction with the crowd, or willingness to interact with the crowd. Like he's...
part of it, I guess.
And still perform well. Good on Ollie Schneider, Jan. So as well.
Well, that was a highlight
we
too.
We gave him a little mention last week, and
he was mentioned last week.
Yeah, we weren't the only ones. Everybody was on the Ollie Schneider. Who doesn't love a guy who doesn't wear a cap?
Yeah,
we're all Robert Rock fans.
And has hair like that.
That's exactly.
And has hair like that.
Exactly. Yeah, but
I
it was
think
a good week.
Minjee's broomstick,
Yes.
also a highlight.
Yeah.
Helped her to a 62. That's pretty ominous for the rest of the tour for the year.
Gives you all hope, Jimmy.
It gives all of us hope. It gives
it can
every
be
single
done.
one of us hope. Yes.
Yep.
And Blake Proverbs as well. One of the nicest guys on the Aussie tour. Goes out and wins. Unfortunately, my nickname of the backpack for him because he hangs out with Josh Armstrong, so biggest and littlest guy on tour, and he looks like he could wear him like a backpack. Hasn't taken off just yet, but
Not
genuinely
saying, I don't
great
think you've
guy.
done it any favours there, Jimmy, but it was a worthwhile
No.
try. Very noble of you.
No, exactly. And then against another 50-year-old in a playoff in Jason Norris. So it's a real mix out there at the moment. So very positive stuff. On last week, relatively light week of success for us, considering how much golf was on. And considering Rory won, and at least one of us always tips Rory. We didn't last week. We just completely ignored Rory.
You had no hope.
You know, why would you do that?
That's right.
No, exactly. We did get one win, TGL, in brackets, just to clear that up, and 5 top 10s. So we are now at 8 wins and 11 top 10s for the year, which Rod knows are numbers unrivaled by any global podcast with a host currently at Adidas Global Headquarters.
And I'll fight anybody who wants to argue.
Yeah, I mean, I just was at dinner before and I did see someone else who has a podcast, but I don't think he does tips. So I think we're clear.
What about in alternate universes, Jimmy? Like the universe is like just slightly parallel to ours.
You're right. We haven't even thought about
true.
that, Jimmy. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Sort that out
It's
before
not
next
worth
week, would you,
considering.
mate?
On to this week, and I think we're going to go to you, Logue, because Waste Management Phoenix Open is highly anticipated every year, and it is one event that made Rod, or at least his alter ego Rob, very famous for a week. So take us through everything about the Phoenix Open.
Oh, it's all about fun, which Rod is not about at all.
Rod hates fun.
Rod hates fun.
He hates fun.
Yeah.
He hates fun.
But yeah, I love how they've rebranded this now as just WM Phoenix Open. What sponsor could boast that, you know, they don't need to spell out their full name? It's just so synonymous with an event.
KFC.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Just saying.
KFC rebranded
to
the whole
KFC
company.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
to
yeah.
get away from
Yeah.
fried.
Yeah.
And the
make it-
length of it, too. It's too long to say, Kentucky Fried
No, but it was all about the health thing because it had fried in the name. Didn't want fried in the name.
If you don't spell it out, people won't know that F stands for fried. Sorry, like you were talking.
WM Phoenix Open. So I think we think of this event as a phenomenon of like the last 25 years or so, right? Like around about the time Tiger made that hole-in-one and really sort of catapulted this into prominence, and like it became this big event with huge noise, and then they started to build the stadium and everything. But it's actually been around since 1932. It was the Arizona Open back then.
Well, it's really one of the Gulf states, isn't it, Arizona? Lots and lots and lots of golf. So I'm not surprised that there's been tournament golf there for a long, long, long time. Would have been one of the winter getaways for a lot of East Coast people, I'd imagine, to go play golf.
No, that's right. So anyway, it's been at TPC Scottsdale since 1987. I don't know if it was the TPC back then. Wasn't it
purpose built?
No.
Didn't Tom
Yeah, purpose built. Yeah.
Tom Weiskopf and
Tom
Jay
Weiskopf,
Moorish.
yeah.
And obviously it's infamous or famous for its drunken rowdy galleries, particularly surrounding the stadium par 3 16th hole. It's, by the way, this is located roughly 460 metres above sea level, or 2.5 Sahalis.
Excellent. We haven't had a Sahali.
Excellent. So we haven't had Sahali for a
that's
while. Yeah.
some decent elevation.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Sahalis.
Yeah. Rory, I think, had a drive-by on TPC courses last week, didn't he? He said,
He did. Yes, he did.
He was trying to flatter Pebble Beach, but said, at least it's different.
I think he might also be having a bit of a go at PGA Tour management as well.
Oh, do you think? Yeah.
Oh, he's not in the business of making their life any easier.
No, I guess not.
Not after what they did to him last year.
But in any case, it might be a little bit unfair in this case because this course is very unforgettable, well, very forgettable first nine, but quite an unforgettable
Great
finish.
finish, yeah. 16, 17, and especially the short par 4 is just only hole in one in a tournament on a par 4, I think. Is that right?
Oh, really?
Happened here. And it was, I'm going to say, Andrew McGee, whose ball ricocheted off another ball on the green of the group in front and went in the hole.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good hole. Interesting for tournament golf and tournament finishes. Nick Taylor is your defending champion, and he's back, but along with some other notable players in the field. It's a decent field. We've got two-time champ Scotty Scheffler and another two-time champion Hideki Matsuyama. Sepp Straka, who's in great form this year so far. Justin Thomas, Tom Kim, who's also in great form.
Will he get there in time?
A very slow play again this last week in Pebble Beach.
I hadn't seen that.
Painfully
so
slow.
Yeah, it was so obviously. I'd noted that about Tom Kim before. There are other players you go, they're slow, but he really revealed himself this week as painfully slow.
Yeah.
I don't think he's endearing himself to a lot of people at the moment.
No,
Kim.
no, I don't think so.
Jordan Spieth again continuing his comeback from injury. The only Australian in the field is Minwoo Lee. Ryan Fox is playing as well from this part of the world.
We'll take him if he goes all right.
Yeah. If there's a pattern to the winners at this place, it's that they're all quite good ball strikers and sort of adequate putters. I think that's what you see, like with your Hideki and Scheffler and Brooks Koepka, and they're very good hitters of the ball and adequate putters. And if you have a good putting week, then you're gonna do okay. I've got a pick. I'm looking at a player who is quite high in the world rankings, but hasn't really performed too well in terms of wins. And this might be the sort of week where I think he can break through. That's Max Grayserman. His strokes gained approach is quite good. I've done a little bit of analysis this week, Jimmy. And
This is quite a lot of research. Yep.
That's right. So Max Grayserman, quite good strokes gained approach, and he's just a good all-round golfer. I think he's...
A lot of those PGA Tour players are.
In a very short... It's indeed. But in a very short time on the tour, he's had a lot of top fives already, and I think he's had 3 runner-ups, but no wins. So
Contender.
it's going to happen for him at some point.
Two things out of that. I would prefer if you said runners up, not runner ups.
Oh,
Good call.
Thank you.
And I don't think that's your first tip of Max Grayserman.
Oh, it's
think
not?
You've tipped him before. No.
Okay.
So
This could be your Wyndham Clark moment.
This could be your Wyndham Clark. This could be
We'll see.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Rod, a tip from you?
I've gone with Hideki, 2-time winner. He's just been playing nicely the first few weeks of the year. He's a lot of handoff club action with the ball finishing 10 feet from the hole. It's classic Hideki. He's playing the hits, and at some point, and this is a tournament venue where he's really comfortable. So
I thought, I just want to put it out there, I thought about Ricky Fowler. So let's be just aware that I did that.
Yep.
But I'm sticking with Hideki, who I said at the start of the year was going to have a huge year. So I've got to stick with him for a couple of months before I get off the Hideki train. So
good track so far.
Also,
Double Hideki.
Yeah, double Hideki.
double Hideki. We doubled someone last week and we got 2 top 10s out of it. So
Double
it's
Hideki
good.
going for the triple.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Exactly. Let's go back home for a little while. An event widely hailed as innovative and progressing the game despite it being 72 holes of stroke play, which is unique in golf. The Vic Open is on the WPGA Tour of Australasia and Challenger PGA Tour of Australasia. Unlike the WebEx Players Series that we've just played a stretch of, 2 events played concurrently, same courses like the Australian Open is. Back at 13th Beach Golf Links, it's across the beach and creek courses, but then the beach takes over as the final host. Logue, you've probably been down there more than the other 2 of us. It's genuinely good golf, isn't it?
It is, and it just I was just pondering the fact that I didn't consider going down this year, and I don't think any of us did as well, really. But it used to be
first time in a while.
A fun sort of pilgrimage, right?
It's the best tournament in Australia to attend in person.
Yeah.
You're in the spectator, media, player, by far the best atmosphere of any tournament in the country, I reckon, that I've ever been to.
Yeah, and it was really trailblazing and a great atmosphere down there at 13th Beach, which I assume is still continuing. But I wonder if that sort of popularity is fading if people aren't sort of travelling to go to it. But, in Victoria, I guess it's still a big deal.
It's lost LPGA and European status, but I'm not sure the tournament's lost what made it so good, which is why I think it'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll still be a great week and great fun down there. This won't be quite so high profile with the names. So I think that's its strength. It's built on the product, not the players happen to be there on any given week. And I think it'll come back to. I think it's the one mixed event globally that's worked from the start.
Yeah. It was really elevated as well I think particularly when it was Golf Victoria's showpiece event. Like Golf Victoria really put a lot of wood behind it. Yeah. And that's what really sort of elevated it. But anyway, it's still a fun event, like in terms of, the bleak world of professional golf at the moment.
Good golf courses. It's a great place.
Event.
If you ever get the chance to go down, it's a great place to spend a week watching the golf. The cafes are fantastic.
Yeah.
The whole everything about the place is wonderful. So.
Exactly. I think coming out of COVID where it it had LPGA and European Tour status, and it was one of those pinnacle events. It's just building back and finding its place again, I suppose, in now a schedule that's bigger and better, particularly for the men. So it's just got to find its spot and redefine itself. But it's the perfect place to go and actually play golf and watch golf at the same time, because there's so many other golf courses around. And importantly, this year, it is the swan song of the great Martin Blake as a full-time employee of Golf Australia, Golf Victoria, PGA of Australia. So Blakey is finishing up, and it is kismet that it happens here at the site of his greatest ever spill.
Oh, yeah.
Surely there's going to be a plaque.
There's got to be a
there'll be an unveiling of a plaque this week.
This is very inside baseball, but Martin Blake,
very inside baseball,
famous
but
for
Blakey, a famous journalist who's covered golf brilliantly for years, and well done, Blakey, on a magnificent career, but famous for tipping a drink or two over a laptop or anything, and he threw a whole tray of drinks across the media room
at some point.
At Vic
Not
Open
in
a
anger.
couple of years
Not
ago.
in anger.
No, never in
in complete
anger.
innocence.
Just a klutz.
Yeah, just a
klutz.
Yeah.
Consistently
exactly right.
finding innovative ways to spill drinks.
Have you passed the hat around and bought him a big sippy cup as a going away gift?
I think he was given a very nice bottle of red wine that hopefully he spills at home rather than
That's
at
right.
the
Do
tournament.
not open this in the office.
He's knocked entire refrigerators over.
Oh, yeah.
He's done remarkable
damaged
things.
countless
Yes.
laptops, and it's quite a career of destruction he's left behind.
Yes.
With drink spillages.
The field, the field here is less international than in the past, but still very strong. Women's field has more of an international flavour, but Brett Coletta and Ashley Lau are your defending champions, and both in the field. You've got a lot of recent winners from the men's side, including Blake Proverbs, Jordan Doole, Ben Eccles, likes of veterans like Michael Hendry, Matt Griffin, and so on. It's that really strong sort of men's field that's been travelling around. On the women's side, LPGA Tour player Jenny Shin, who's been spending more time in Australia again, she's back. Kelsey Bennett, Lydia Hall, Sue O, Caitlin Pearce are some of the standouts. You got some rising young amateurs. Leon Higo, who had a top 10 last week on the Murray River. Amelia Harris, who Mike Clayton speaks glowingly about. And then, of course, Australian Open winner, G.A. Shin as well. So there's also Claire.
Yes, I did see that a week or two ago. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So then you've got Claire Shin as well. So if someone wanted to be deceptive in their tipping and just said, I'm tipping Shin in the women's event, it's a 3 for 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. And two of them are genuine contenders here. So let's get some tips. Logue, we'll go to you first.
It seems like most of Australia's best golfers come from WA these days. I think we can all agree on that, can't we?
Yeah.
Well, not so immediate agreement, but anyway. There's a WA player who I don't think has quite showed us his best stuff yet, and that's Jordan Doole. And he's my pick for the men's side. And we're doing women's pick as well. My pick on the women's side is none other than Jenny Shin. I thought it was a delightful surprise that she's playing at this time of year.
Yeah, she really loves it down here, doesn't she? Well, she really loves it down here.
Yeah. I think she'll be determined to have a win down here too. So she's come close a couple of times. So Jenny Shin.
Rod, tips from you?
I too was going to go with Jenny Shin for some of the same reasons, but I'll just neatly slip over to G.A. Shin. Until a moment ago, I didn't even know he was playing, so I shall just stick with Shin, but I'll go with G.A.
Nice. And on the men's side?
Oh, men's side, Jake McLeod. Surely, Jake.
Surely.
He's had 3 good rounds a week for the last 4 or 5 weeks and struggled on Sunday. Do you reckon there's anything in that, Jimmy, or just if it happened on Thursday, you wouldn't notice it?
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of he hasn't won for a long time and he knows it's really close. And
he's really changed his game too, hasn't he? And that's difficult to do in the real pressure is to stick with it. So good luck to him there. But
yeah, he has. But I think it's also just as he's still working through his game, he's probably getting more results earlier than he thought he would as well. So not necessarily expecting to be in the positions. But I think Jake's a great tip. But I'm going to go with a West Australian, Logue, because I agree with you. That's where our best players come out of. I'm going to go with Ryan Peake, who won the Sandbell Invitational. There's a lot of similarities there on that beach course that he'll like, working with Richie Smith, and Richie Smith has huge raps on where he's at. And then I'm going to go with Ashley Lau to go back-to-back. She's had a couple of sneaky good weeks, absolutely loves it down here, so I think she is a big chance to defend her title. We will keep moving, and LIV Golf makes its start to the year in Saudi Arabia at the Riyadh Golf Club. What do we think's in store for LIV Golf in its third year?
It's kicking off without Mickelson in the the opener. He's out with
That-
injury. So, interesting question, Jimmy. I don't know. It's kind of it's a weird crossroads for them, isn't it? The first year is a huge splash. The second year is everyone's watching. What are you going to do? How are you going to improve the product? Third year, they took most of the big players in the first year, some in the second year. So the storyline this year isn't going to be who they sign, which they've had the first 2 years. What do they do?
I think the competition hasn't proven to be particularly interesting, but I
Is that
think
because we're not watching it, or is it genuinely
I
not?
don't think
or-
anybody's following
Doesn't
it.
seem to be.
No, it's all about the excitement of attendance, I think, at least in Adelaide. But knowing what's at stake just doesn't feel like the season-long race or whatever just doesn't seem to be a factor. But so at individual events, I think sometimes there's some interest in the competition, but not season-long. So I would like to see them have more focus on the team side of it. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if people pay a little bit more attention to the team race this year, because the individual one's just a little bit difficult to follow, and who cares? But the team one,
It's always been the most interesting aspect.
meaning
hasn't
to it.
They just feel like they haven't done it right yet.
Yeah,
That's what it
so
feels.
maybe this year the team thing
Yeah,
will
could
come
be.
to the fore a little bit, and they'd be smart to emphasise it. I think because TGL obviously is sort of their main competitor in
It's an odd thing to say,
in the
isn't it?
vibe space.
Yeah.
Like it vibes the same, and that's obviously all about the teams. So team focus this year, I think.
I don't think they did themselves any favours in terms of the competitive element and what's at stake by having multiple players going into that relegation zone who have just come back. And Brandon Grace is probably the most egregious of them, where it's, he's relegated, he's got to go, and he's got to go and qualify. But no, he doesn't really, because we're going to have him back. I think that didn't help the optics of the competitiveness in any way.
No, it doesn't. And they kind of need to. If they do want to be taken seriously, that really does need to stop. I think people will go, okay, legends of the game or captains in this startup phase, you can understand why Bubba Watson doesn't get relegated or Mickelson doesn't get relegated. People are prepared to accept that. But Brandon Grace, go earn it back, son. That's just, that's a step too far.
Well, also, just on player quality as well. Like I think last year they could genuinely boast that they were starting to get a really great group of core players there. And like, week in, week out, they're starting to think, wow, there's a really good group of players there. But this year will be interesting to see which of those really high-profile signings, like Hendrik Stensons and that sort of thing, may go the way where they just start to decline in their career, and suddenly the fire gets taken out of
Get
that
my
competition.
Majestics out of your mouth. How dare you?
So, if their top player, their big signings can continue to be super competitive, I think then that's good for them.
Well, there's no new big signings coming, is there?
Well, Tom McKibben, but
You'd hardly call it
that-
big. It's
that's-
interesting, and it shows somebody there knows something about golf.
Yeah.
That young boy has a young man has a real lot of potential. He's a really good player,
Yep.
but he's not bringing
It's
a
no
fan
John
with
Rahm.
him. No,
Yeah.
I don't think he's bringing anything with him beyond that. So
It's interesting to see. I mean, he's the biggest signing, for lack of better sort of way of going about it. But he's a very good player. He was going to be a PGA Tour player. There's the huge link with Rory. Had to attract them a little bit and trying to get one back a little, but it's not doing huge things for them. It was interesting to see the people who are adamantly behind it trying to talk him up as how great a player, and if you don't know Tom McKibben, you don't know golf, when they were misspelling his name, so that was always good. But it's an interesting spot. Like you said, Rod, Phil is missing with a shoulder injury. Bryson is probably the one they look to carry things this year, but it'll be interesting. There's also the post-Greg Norman era that we're sort of going to go into and see what changes. But in terms of this event, Riyadh, sort of becoming a familiar golf course because of the Asian Tour and other events there, but it is very Middle East desert golf, oasis sort of style look with grass and water in the middle. I don't know if there's any wadis. We saw a wadi last week, didn't we, Lo?
Yeah, we did,
in
There was a
Western
wadi
Sydney.
at Fairfield.
Oh, was there?
Yeah.
Apparently
Yeah.
it is a Barranca. It's an interchange with a Barranca, I heard on the coverage.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
but I think I'll be going
not-
with Wadis at Riviera this year as opposed to, well, we won't be seeing Riviera
they
this
won't
year.
be
but
there.
We'll be renaming the Barrancas Wadis, I think.
It was a little surprise wadi at Fairfield Golf Course.
Yep.
We didn't really feel like it was in play, but yeah, it turned out it was.
It's a great
Yeah.
Wadi at Lane Cove Golf Club. We used to pay the par
Oh,
3
yeah.
across. As a,
Yeah,
Yeah, good
That's still there.
wadi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send us in your best Wadis.
This has got to be the biggest thing about this week, though, apart from the players, etc., is they're going to play under lights.
Oh, are
So it is it is actual innovation there. Yeah. There is something different. There is a little bit of change. The LET's done it a few times. There's been a bit of exhibition golf in that style, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
You have to have your eyes wide open to see.
That is just.
If I'd said that, I would edit it out. But I'm not doing that for you.
No, that's terrible.
Okay.
But that will be a genuinely interesting thing to see. I don't think it'll necessarily bring crowds to an event in Saudi where we've not seen many show up and watch it, but it'll be interesting for TV times, but also just the optics of it and the players, whether they
player reaction
have any struggles.
Yeah, I don't think they'll like it that much. I can't imagine they'll be campaigning to do it too often.
No. Exactly. So in terms of players, it is the same sort of list as last year, apart from those couple of changes. Rahm, DeChambeau, Koepka, Cam Smith, your headliners. Congratulations to Ben Campbell, who's got a spot on the Range Goat, which is Bubba Watson's team. Kiwi guy, lovely fella. And who do we think is going to win? I will open the tipping, and I will go with Cam Smith, who I think is going to start the year very well. They had a Ripper GC training camp. There's inside baseball for you in Florida a week or so ago. And Cam seems to be very up for this year, and I think obviously very focused on Augusta already, but he'll enjoy under lights. He's that sort of guy.
Yeah, it'll suit his sort of. It'll be very Gold Coast there in Florida where they had their. He'd been very much at home, wouldn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go. Maybe the team thing means something.
Well, if you own the team like Cam Smith, you're damn right it does, because there's money to be made and lost. So suddenly you're more interested than you might have been otherwise.
And the team thing for Lucas Herbert did a huge amount last year. He really did improve and spoke about how much he improved because he didn't want to be the least contributing or worst player on the team. Logue, you wouldn't know anything about that from your combination with Ports. But he was driven, and then the other guys were sharing more with him, and he was practicing his chipping and pitching with Cam, and Cam was helping him. So some of the teams seem to have bought in from a performance thing. Some of the teams seem to have bought in from a financial thing, like you say, Rod, where the Majestic's main thing seems to be updating on new partners, etc. So there's some elements of it.
Yeah,
Rod, a tip from you?
I'm going to go with Neiman, who looked really good last week. I thought about Bryson. I think it'll be a good chance. He's going to be a good chance every time he tees. He's turned into that player, Bryson, every week. He's worth tipping. But I really like the look of Joaquim, and he's still playing well. He looked really good in the first round last week in particular. So
yeah, maybe what was holding him back last week was that I picked him last week.
Well, that and having to play with Bryson in the first two rounds, in which case he had to deal with all the crowds, and it might have been a bit of a new experience in some ways for Neiman, I think. But yeah, he's a good player. He's really turned himself into such a good player.
Yeah, he's really good. I mean, he always was, but yeah. My pick's Bryson.
Yeah, that's perfectly.
It was there waiting for someone to pick it.
Yeah,
he might be the most interested LIV player.
Yeah,
week in, week out. Of those top players, you get the feeling he's the most interested every week in getting him up.
And imagine the YouTube content he can get playing at night.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Possibilities are endless. Let's move along and let's go to the LPGA Tour into week 2 of the season. An important week, but it's changed a little bit in where it is in the schedule. The Founders Cup presented by US Virgin Islands. Rod.
Well, I didn't look into the sponsor, Watchman. That's on me. Presented by US. Did you do any research, Jimmy?
No.
Is it just the islands themselves? Have they voted to sponsor an LPGA tournament? This is interesting stuff.
I'm guessing so.
Are they a territory of the US?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sponsor watch? Not this week. Pardon me. You're right, Jimmy. Important tournament, this Founders Cup. I've said it before and I'll say it again. To me, it belongs more as a major than at least 2 of the majors that we have in the women's game at the moment, particularly the Evian. This is such a good event. They've done a terrific job of taking this to really, really, really good golf courses and not particularly well-known golf courses all the time. So it's been fabulous to see. Again, this week we've got Bradenton Country Club in Florida where they played the LPGA Drive-On last year. Really ultra-private club, 300 members, and they stick to 300 so that nobody ever has to book a tee time.
Oh, okay.
You're really living it up when that's your golf course, isn't it? Or your golf club. Underwent major work in 2018. Tony Jacklin oversaw a restoration. I think he lives there, might be how he got the gig. He might live on site. There are homes around the course, and I think he's got one of the homes. And that doesn't always fill you with confidence to hear that a former major winner is going to help with the restoration and whatnot. But I think in this case, the place has become overgrown with trees. It had lost a lot of its Ross sort of stuff, and I think he's done a very good job in bringing it back. From what I could see from watching highlights from last year, course looks good. It's nice and open. It breezes. It hasn't got the overhanging trees that people were talking about prior to. So predominantly short grass around the greens, which is a setup issue, but we should see some interesting golf based on that. It's as flat as a pancake, the land. So you really have to know what you're doing to make any kind of interesting golf. And they do look to have done it. So that should be interesting. 11 under was the winning number last year. Nelly beat Lydia Ko in a playoff. Wouldn't we love to see that again this year? Often. That was a real highlight on last year. And I suspect they'll both be there. Not as strong a field as I might have expected. I don't know why. In fairness, there may be some injuries, but 4 of the world's top 10 aren't playing, which I was surprised by. Normally 1 or 2 might skip an event. So I don't know whether that's scheduling, possibly injuries. Gino Titikin's one of them that's missing out. Lilia Vu is not there, running in. So some big names and some really entertaining players. But 6 of the top 10 are there, of course. Nelly, Lydia, our own Hannah Green, Charlie Hull, Ayaka Furuwe and Celine Boutier. You've also got the likes of Brooke Henderson, Jin Young Ko. The list goes on. And this is a big tournament that I think all of them really do want to win. Lots of Australians to cheer this week, which is really good to see, Jimmy. I think we're going to see week in and week out that LPGA list of Australian player names is growing, and it's great to see. So we've got Hannah, Minjee, Steph Kiriakou, Gabby Ruffles, Hiron Naveed, Karis Davidson, and very exciting, Cassie Porter tees up for the first time this week as a card-carrying member of the LPGA.
Fantastic.
Which is really, what's that, seven Australians?
Yeah.
Been a long time since we had that in any tour in the world. There was a period in the 90s and 2000 when we had a lot of Australians on the PGA Tour, but that is really, really, really impressive for a country that doesn't really have that much in the way of women's golf. We couldn't put on a women's-only professional event here with a field of 156 and fill it with local players. No. That's how few sort of women professionals we have in that sense. So good. And look, genuine chances. Most of them, really. Gabby Ruffles, Steph Kiriakou, no shortage there. Minjee might be the one to watch this week, as you said, Jimmy. If she's figured out that long putter, what did she shoot? 10 under Sunday?
62.
That's and that's not very Minjee type golf. She's not usually the super
lowest career
shooter.
round. Yeah,
she's normally a 66. 266s and 268s, and she'll win a tournament that way. I'm not tipping her, however. I was tempted by Ayaka Furuwe, who finished very well here last year.
Thought about it?
Thought about Furuwe, but I'm going with Megan Kang, who missed out on the playoff last year.
Very good.
A couple of shots. And she seemed to really like this golf course. She's just great to watch. She's got a personality. She's fun. She laughs on the golf course.
Yeah.
And a good player.
Nice.
It's like top 5 American at the moment.
Very much so. Yeah, she'd be there with Jenny Shin.
Yeah.
Who else?
Lilia Vu and Nelly.
Probably Nelly Corder.
Yeah.
Logue, a tip from you?
I thought about Nelly, but I'm going with... I don't think this is a good course fit. I don't know why. Instinctively, I'm doing this. I'm going with my heart, not with my head, and that's Celine Boutier.
So you really don't think she's going to win based on that in any way, shape or form, or
that
even contend?
That was the least convincing tip I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, well, we'll win this one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going to go with Nelly Corder because she came second last week and she wins in Florida.
Because
Simple.
Nelly. Yeah, just because Nelly. You don't need a reason. You just tip Nelly.
Yeah.
And that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. Yeah.
But I also thought about Minjee, of course.
Of course.
So let's just get that into the air.
That's a given, yeah.
Exactly. Let's go to the DP World Tour. Rod, we stick with you again and as our Middle East expert. See, I've proven it I said it the first time this year, and you said, I don't know why that is, but now you've done every event. So this time, Commercial Bank Qatar Masters.
And I didn't even see it coming, Jimmy. You got me all ends up there. Well done, mate. Thank you for alerting me. Commercial Bank, been the title sponsor since 2006. You're going to be shocked to hear that Commercial Bank is a bank.
Wow.
Yeah, big bank.
Heard it here first.
In Qatar. Only 50 years old, which is interesting, I thought. You just expect banks to be 100 years old.
Sure.
But Commercial Bank's only 50 years old. The Doha Golf Club, which has been open since 1998, first grass course in the country, was the first year of this tournament. And I don't think it was purpose-built for the tournament, Jimmy, but it was built very much with this tournament in mind. There was no grass court golf course. It was like, if we're going to build a grass one, we're going to have professional golf. So designed by Peter Harradine, who I think we mentioned last week, very active in this area, Africa and Asia. And look, it's an interesting enough golf course. It's a decent challenge for the players. They've been playing there since 2006, as I said. Probably best known for the 9th and 18th, the big boomerang double green around a water hazard. you could say that's a bit cliche in some ways, but it does give you interesting and exciting finishes, which we've seen before, particularly with the 18th there. It's got a decent winners list. They've had some really good players here over the years. Adams won it twice. Adam Scott, Paul Laurie, Ernie Els, Goosen, Stenson, Sergio. Lots of major winners. Lots of really good European Tour players.
Adam won this back in his Burberry days, I think, didn't he?
2002, I think. So, yeah, would have been maybe even the second or third year as a pro.
He was wearing that classic Burberry shirt.
Yeah. Oh, was it his very... Was it a first start as a professional? No, he played in the Greg Norman International as an invite as an amateur, actually, and he had the greatest fade cut in the history of fade cuts. I remember seeing it on the first day. Oh, that's a haircut. You know, even the cap was enhancing it.
Great trophy as well. The big oyster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Legendary trophy.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
We got a similar field to last week, including the winner Laurie.
No trophy Hassan, mind you.
No, it's no dagger.
Yeah.
No, it's no dagger.
Yeah. And it's no NPGA, which is the crocodile skull, which is just sensational.
True.
Great. Similar field to last week, including Laurie Cantor, who is another player who's really turned himself into a good player. He's right on the fringe of the world top 50, and that's a milestone for a player. You get into that top 50, you get into the Masters, you get into a bunch of stuff that you want. That's a real...
That's Min Woo's just outside.
I think he's been floating around there as well. So you've really got to be good to get there. And Cantor has really turned himself into a very good player, and it was his second European Tour win. So look out for him.
Min Woo did get one of the end-of-year Masters invites.
That's right.
So he's already in.
Oh, good.
Yes, from last year. That's exactly right. Yeah. Lots of players we've seen contending with it. Alejandro Del Rey, who was a recent winner, who's played some exciting golf. Richie Ramsey played well last week, which is good to see. Pablo Larrazábal is one of the more entertaining players, and he was back to his best last week, hitting it all over the shop, making birdies and pars regardless, a bit Seve-like, so good to see them. 4 Australians in the field, Elvis Smiley, Jason Scrivener, Micheluzzi, and Daniel Gale gets into the field via Category 18, Jimmy. I won't go through Category 18, but it's a fair way down to get to Category 18.
It's a fair way down the list. And Daniel Gale has been waiting in the Middle East for a start. So he hasn't been back playing Aussie Tour events. He's gone over there and gone, I'll be a chance. He's been third reserve, second reserve, whatever. He's been hanging out in Dubai at I think it's the Tommy Fleetwood Golf Academy hitting balls. There's a photo of him with Tommy. He's just been there grinding, and he finally got a start. So well done to Gailey.
Fifth of 5 events in the Middle East. So if you think glamour golf, professional golf's all glitz and glamour, here's Category 18. Top 21 players from the 2024 qualifying school, followed by the next 2 leading players not otherwise exempt above from the nominated final order of merit from the PGA Tour of Australasia, which I'm guessing is where Daniel gets in via that. So which goes to show again the importance of that system in giving our players opportunities to get to the world stage. So good luck to Daniel this week. And my tip, Francesco Laporta.
Okay.
Seen his name plenty of times. Watched him play a bit on Sunday because he was sort of in contention as the day started. He fell away a bit, shot one over, I think, at the end of the day and slipped down the leaderboard. Very impressive. I really liked the way he played and the way he carried himself. Good gait on Francesco.
Oh.
A good gait.
Right. Nice. Like it. Loke?
I'm in a Jordan sort of mood this week, as I was last week with Matthew Jordan, but you know, I picked Jordan Doole for the Vic Open. I'm going with Jordan Smith for the Qatar Masters. He's had a couple of wins on the tour, and I feel like another one's in the making. He's coming off a GB&I victory in the Team Cup.
That's right, yeah. Which he contributed in, actually.
He did.
He played really well,
yeah. So I'm looking for him. And he's had a couple of consistent finishes since then. So I'm looking for Jordan Smith to pop his head up again.
Came and played the Aussie Open. Genuinely good guy too. Really nice guy. So good on him. I'm going to go with Aussie PGA winner Elvis Smiley. I think Elvis is going to do something special again at some stage in a regular DP World event, and might do it early enough in the year to. He's basically, he's sorted with a card now for a while, and I think that's going to be great for Elvis. And he did me a favour last week, so this is me doing him a favour.
The universe is going to pay him back via
It's just, exactly right. He's getting good karma because he was good to me. So good on you, Elvis. Let's get around him. And finally, as probably the most important part of the show, is the one-man appointed number one TGL tipping podcast globally. We look at the TGL and the SoFi Centre. It is my Boston Bullfrogs up against Los Angeles Golf Club, which is one of your guys' teams, isn't it?
That's mine.
Yep, there you go.
Beloved, I think, is it not? Your
my
beloved LAGC?
LAGC.
Yep.
By the way, there's a team, like, choose your team or find your team quiz.
Oh, is there?
The TGL website now. I don't know if I hadn't noticed it before, but it's there now.
I looked a lot before. We may have drawn action out of the TGL guys.
Perhaps. I'm sure. Yes,
as
sure.
the number
That
one
must be
TGL tipping podcast calling for that kind of thing.
That must be it. Anyway, I'm afraid to do it in case I don't. It doesn't
I don't
come
want
out
to do
with
it because I don't
LAGC.
want to get anyone. Yeah. Anyway, it is the Boston team is unchanged from last start because they of course played last week when they got beaten by Tigers Jupiter Lynx. But Keegan Bradley, Rory McIlroy, Adam Scott up against Tommy Fleetwood, Colin Morikawa, Justin Rose. So, Logue, I'm guessing you're going to tip your team.
Of course, I'm going with my beloved LAGC, Jimmy, who are top of the table. And this week with Rosie, the victorious captain of the GB&I Team Cup, returning to the TGL Cauldron.
Cauldron.
And also coming off a furious fist pump after holding out for a birdie on the final hole at Pebble Beach last night, sending a signal to Rory McIlroy and his Boston Common brethren.
Because that's really what it's about.
That's what the
Sunday at Pebble Beach is about, sticking it to the man you're playing on Tuesday in the TGL.
That's exactly what it was
That's
about.
exactly what it's about.
He was sending a message there, and he's going to see him in the SoFi Centre.
Okay.
So...
I can't believe he might have said, see you in the SoFi.
Exactly.
They left the car.
Aren't we sharing a jet to Florida to go to the SoFi Centre? That's probably what was going on.
So, yeah, Rosie, all those reasons.
Well done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well done. Rod, your tip?
I think I'm going to have to go with the Atlanta Golf Club too. I quite like their lineup.
That's not...
LA. I was looking at my own team there, Atlanta. They've disappointed to this point. A bit like the Majestics. So they're not really... They're the perfect team for me. Yeah. But yeah, I'll go with LA Golf Club.
You've definitely got on to two duds, it would seem, in this team.
It's kind of fitting though, don't you think?
Yep.
Aren't they? Yeah. Aren't both of them exactly? If you had to pick a team for me, wouldn't you have picked each of those teams for me? Would you say, "Oh, you're a Majestics man for sure"?
Yeah, sure. I'm of course going to go with my beloved Boston Common. Go Frogs! It's a huge week for green teams because my Philadelphia Eagles are also in the Super Bowl, so it's all about green teams this week.
It'll actually be interesting to see how Rory goes. It must have taken a bit out of him Pebble Beach. That will be
100%.
Yeah.
This is going to be. This is the first test of them all coming from having played. This is going to be
on the opposite coast.
See what the levels are like. Opposite coast. How invested they are.
Yeah.
Didn't Rory play TGL last week as well?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So it's a hectic couple of weeks.
So he's kind of got to do it. You know, it's the They're locked
It'll
in.
be interesting to see. It's all players who've now played it before, so see how they've gotten used to things. See how people like Adam Scott getting comfortable with the whole idea, and it'll be interesting. It's continuing to tick over a little bit of momentum.
I wonder whether any of the players have any concerns about some of those issues with the tech and how far the ball goes, and you having the same lies in the grass where you drop with the rough and all that sort of stuff. It's not like real golf. What's the impact when you go back to a golf course to play? There's never anything but a flat lie at TGL. I mean, they're probably not playing enough of it to peak. But at some point, I think some players are going to go, I don't know if this is good for my game. I don't know.
Well,
but hitting off driving range mats and that sort of is not great for your game. It's that kind of thing. And these guys practice at a level we can't imagine. So I just wonder whether there'll be any pushback at any point.
Well, I think Rory's going to have the answer for the moment and say, well, I played and then I won.
Yeah.
So there's something there.
5-1 against.
He won that little thing at Pebble Beach. It's like when he's got to face down Rosie this week in the SoFi Centre. Well, then we'll see.
You might question the sensibility of expending so much energy at Pebble Beach when you've got the big match coming up on Tuesday.
Exactly.
I don't know whether Rory's thinking clearly.
Exactly.
You got the grudge match. Why would you burn all that energy? Yeah, true.
Enough.
Very good. That will just about do us for episode 98. Rod, I look forward to returning from Germany next week and seeing what you've done to the studio because it looks unchanged. I'm disappointed.
No, it's changed. You've missed out.
It's not even
really?
It's not even at the same address. You'll be standing at the front of the building. You'll be in the wrong place. That's how much it's. No, it hasn't changed that much.
There's a. What are you talking about? There's a monitor sticking up out of the middle of the desk now.
Portable monitor, new tripod for the camera. Yeah, it's all happening here. SPF.
And has anyone bumped their knee on the desk yet?
I still haven't got the pool noodles for that. But
it's very Rube Goldbergian. The whole thing. There's like little things connected, like a Rube Goldberg machine. You know those things where you set a domino
Where
off
do you
and then
come from?
balls roll down chutes and knock over a thing. Yeah.
I love those things. Every time I see one on Twitter, I'm
Rube
there for a
Goldberg
minute and a half
machine.
watching it. That and the marble racing.
Yeah, exactly.
When they go down the things, I can't take my eyes off it. Oh, there you go.
Well, I would normally ask you, Logue, what's ahead for your week, but clearly Rube Goldberg machine, whatever that means.
It's just a normal week for me. Jimmy, nose to the grindstone, working hard.
Always
you know the
well
drill.
Done. That's good from you.
Change sides on the grindstone. The nose is looking a little bit out of balance.
Very good. You can, of course, follow all this action and so much more on the Golf Australia magazine website, golfaustralia.com.au. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week on Playing from the Tips.